welcome everybody to episode 38 on the Softlock Podcast. Today, we're recording this on May 20th at 9:10 p.m. I'm one of your hosts, Jake. That's Jonathan right over there. And today we're going to be talking about Doom: The Dark Ages. Now, Jonathan, ask me, when did I roll credits on this game?
I don't even have to ask you. It was probably like an hour ago.
It was 9 o'clock. 10 minutes ago, I finished
Wow.
the game.
Wow.
So we are fresh on this review.
That it really is fresh. Well, you didn't say when I told you, "Hey, I'm back from work." Like, when do you want to start? And you said whenever. You really meant whenever.
I was mid-final boss when you sent me that text.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, this game, unfortunately, not all of us can afford the 3 days early bougie version like you. So
That's true. that is a. I don't pre-order games often. If I could have taken like $15 off of the price to not get it 3 days early, I would have, because I was like,
yeah,
I also think that's a completely ridiculous.
yeah, I hate that shit. But you know, at least it's on Game Pass, so that's how I played it at least. So
True.
I can't really complain too much.
See, you got to play it for free. Meanwhile, I spent $100.
Well, knowing that there was a new Doom coming out was a large factor in me purchasing a new computer last year, so it wasn't really free.
Oh, you played it on PC. Oh.
Oh yeah, that's Sam, my girlfriend, loves Doom, and the day that Doom came out, they put a new skin on the Xbox Series X, like the background, and I changed it. She was like, "Oh, are you gonna play Doom on the TV?" And I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? You think I'm gonna play Doom on a controller? I don't know how you do it."
It's fine. It's aim assist.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine.
That's the only reason why shooters are able to be played on controller, because of that aim assist. Ever so subtle aim assist.
All right, so I finished Doom: The Dark Ages. You finished Doom: The Dark Ages. I guess we'll say spoilers, but there isn't really a story in this game, so you don't have to worry about it.
I think there's a couple of things that
Okay, yeah.
you definitely want to be seeing for the first time, like with thine own eyes. So
If you're a fan of the franchise, or if you're one of those people that just likes to point at big man doing cool stuff, we're gonna talk about the cool stuff. So maybe you want to avoid that, but really, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. The plot, we're going to spoil the plot, and then there's really only one scene, genuinely, that I like. Maybe like two scenes that I think we're actually going to spoil but those scenes are so, completely inconsequential to the entire experience. So, like, really, I'll say spoiler alert really loud, maybe, when we're about to talk about those two scenes, because it's not like, this isn't going to be spoiler heavy, because it's like, who gives a shit? Really, but we will be talking about like probably everything to do with this game. So yeah.
So, the game came out May 15th, and got pretty good reviews, I would say, all things considered. It's the third in this, I guess it's a trilogy now, of the modern Doom games, and I think it had the appropriate level of hype going into it and the appropriate response. I don't really think anything was out of the ordinary here. What do you think?
I think that Doom: The Dark Ages, I love Doom. I'm a huge fan of Doom. I played it a lot when I was like very young, but when I played Doom 2016, I was like, oh, this is the shit. And I remember I finished Doom 2016, I was like, damn, when are they gonna make the next one? And then like Doom Eternal came out, I was like, this is the cat's pajamas, holy shit. And then it kind of ends. The Doom Eternal just kind of like ends, and I was like, oh, I wonder what they're gonna do now. So now we got Doom: The Dark Ages, and I do think it is a worthwhile take on the Doom franchise. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff. I think it's a lot of cool things to see, and just overall fun to play. However, I do think we just be making games now. I think it kind of paints a sort of bleak future not bleak, but a little concerning future on what the Doom series is going to be. Not necessarily. I mean, part one is really because of the overall performance of the game, and then part two is the not reaction, but what I have been reading and hearing about the future of Doom. Those two things paired together, I think, paints a worrying picture about the Doom series as a whole, and I think we'll get into that later. But that is just my takeaway as a whole. It's good, it's pretty good, but there's some heavy concerns.
Interesting. I don't know where you're gonna go with that, but yeah, my general thoughts. I'm kind of with you in that it is really good, but I'm not like I was when I played 2016 for the first time, and maybe that's just because this is more of that, and they just changed things, whereas that was wholly new at the time it came out.
Yeah, Doom 2016, like, blew the fuck up out of like every shooter at the time because it was like a movement shooter. It brought back kind of like a boomer shooter type of vibe that has been dead for a really long time because of, you know, the onset of cover shooters and you know, like Call of Duty-esque, like, you know, stand behind a brick wall and regen your health. Like this changed so much about like what people like about shooters. And then Doom Eternal came out, and I had problems with Doom Eternal. My problem is that it, like, the game kind of just like, okay, you know, here's a big group of enemies. Take out your shotgun, use your shotgun on this enemy, and then take out your scope, and then shoot the cannon off the Ractotron, yeah, and then take out your turret, and then melt the metal metal Baron of Hell's like armor and all this shit. It's like, you know, there's like, you have to use this weapon. I think the worst case of that was the Stone Imp in the DLC, where it's like you could only kill the Stone Imp if you equip the rotating shotgun mod. And it's like, dude, just let me play the fucking game. You know, it's like, why the smallest enemy I have to change, like, it was really annoying. So that's like my problem with Doom Eternal was that. But even then, like when Doom Eternal came out, it was like, holy shit, like I can't believe how crazy they made it. The problem is that they made it like too crazy at near the end. Like really, mostly the issue was with the DLC, but like the game itself was nuts. And now we got Doom: The Dark Ages, and it's like it didn't take a big step. It was just like, okay, here's another Doom game, guys.
Well, it didn't take a big step, but I think it took maybe just as big of a step as Eternal did in a different direction. I feel that the Dark Ages... So we can both agree that 2016 is like the platonic ideal for a first-person shooter single-player game, right? Like that is what all FPSs should strive to be. And so they had two paths to go down. They could just make more of that, which is kind of what the classic Dooms did. They just kept making more. Or they can pivot and change things dramatically. I think all the big changes they made in Eternal are pretty much all gone.
Oh yeah,
they're all Dark Ages.
Yeah, gone.
But there's probably just as many big changes. It's just that the game isn't as strict in that way you were talking about.
Right.
And it also isn't as wild with its movement and its abilities. So it may feel like it's a little bit less of a step, but I feel like the big changes, like the shield, being able to literally walk wherever you want, whenever you want for the first time in a Doom game, is a pretty big change.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. When I refer to, yeah, we should probably get into the specifics. I'm being really general with what I'm saying about the Dark Ages right now. I think we should actually just jump into the specifics soon, because I'm getting way too general. I'm giving my points are being too broad, but I do agree. The core gameplay is really good. Do I think it outclasses 2016 and Eternal? Not really, but it's really close. Like it is.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
if I had to put it in a list, it would be third. But I would not really put it in a list because I like how different it is. I really like how they went in the completely opposite direction. I do like the parrying system. I like the whole like one man, you know, walk. Like you're like a walking tank. like going around a big battlefield on these big like Dynasty Warrior-esque like maps and stuff, and like kind of like taking out objectives. I like that a lot, like the actual core gameplay of that and shooting the demons and the weapons and the shield and all that shit. Really, really like. It is the more bizarre changes interspersed that kind of like sprinkled throughout the game where I'm like, okay, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I would put this third, but it's so close to Eternal that it's not even funny. And I actually think this is maybe a better game overall than Eternal is if you include the DLC with Eternal, and we'll wait to see how this DLC changes things for the Dark Ages. But I like Eternal more because I really like the parkour, which I know not everybody was as hot as I am on. I missed that.
I like the parkour. I did like the parkour because you really did go. It was very fast paced, and I kind of like they replaced like this parkour with these more open world areas, which I also really really liked. So yeah. I don't really feel particular to either one. I don't really feel like the Doom Eternal linear levels and parkour is better. I like them both. I take them both. I just enjoy it a lot. Yeah.
So let's break down some of what is new here, because I think pretty much everyone knows what Doom is. You run around, you shoot demons with a bunch of different weapons, and then you get a big gun that shoots a big green ball, and that's like the whole game.
Yeah.
And now we have the addition of the parry, which you mentioned, and so this is parrying certain attacks from bigger enemies as well as certain projectiles.
Yes.
You can also use the shield to just block oncoming damage for a short period of time. Changes to the weapons. Not only are there new weapons, but now they have this, instead of you can upgrade weapons into different paths, now every weapon has a partner. So there's like the really fast version of the shotgun and then the super shotgun that's super slow and heavy. That type of thing, you can have both and swap between them. I guess those two are in the other games. But
every weapon class has a second version of itself. Except for one weapon class, which is a little bizarre, but it's fine.
The slingshot one?
The chain shot, that does not have a secondary weapon class. But every other weapon in the game... Because I remember when we first started playing the game, I was like, oh, this weapon wheel is really small. Like, is there only going to be like 6 weapons in the game? That's kind of lame. And then I come to find out that actually every slot on the scroll wheel contains 2 weapons, and you can just swap between them by hitting X at any time. So you have around 12 weapons if you include the BFC, which is the something
ballistic force crossbow.
Yes, the ballistic force crossbow, which is hilarious, but...
Did you know that's what it was whenever you were picking it up? That was going to be the BFG in this game?
I had no idea. I actually kind of thought that they weren't going to put a BFG in the game, and I was like okay with that. I was like, there's so many, tools at your disposal. Maybe we don't need a BFG because we already have so many tools. And then it kind of like just like shows up, and I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of crazy. And this will be something that I kind of get into later. I really like how it was a crossbow. I kind of wish they went more into the medieval aspect, because I enjoyed that. The weapons are good. Yeah, actually, while we're talking about the weapons, let's talk about the weapons actually.
Yeah. What was your favorite weapon to use?
Oh man, dude. Probably near the end, I really enjoyed the Ravager. I enjoyed a lot of the weapons. And something that I did enjoy was that there was so much freedom with these weapons. Like I said with Doom Eternal, you had to use basically every weapon in your arsenal. And while that is really good, I would say in some aspects, you really feel like you consume everything the game has to offer. You're challenged in every way. You use all the tools the game is asking you to use. It definitely got to feel forced and a bit obtuse, I would say. And now we have a complete opposite. And Doom 2016, you were encouraged to use all the weapons, but you didn't have to. Some weapons...
You didn't have to, but ammo was a lot more scarce in that game.
Oh
So
yeah,
you
that's
were
another
swapping
thing.
back and forth a lot more.
You were, but you also could just use the super shotgun and just win every time in 2016. And that's another thing. Ammo is a non-concern in this game. I've never run out of ammo in the Dark Ages.
Yeah, I played on Nightmare, and
Yeah.
like the default setting for Nightmare has, which is like the highest difficulty outside of the permadeath ones, has the ammo scarcity at like 2 or 3, I can't remember, and I never ran out of ammo a single time. I thought about dropping it down, but I figured maybe on my second playthrough I'll do that, but
Yeah.
never ran out.
I mean, it's almost like you don't really need to. I was thinking like it's kind of a bit silly to even because there's so many ammo pickups scattered around the world that just you don't even pick up. And I feel like just like your gamer intuition will be like, "There's a pickup. Let me go walk over it." And then you walk over so many of them, and they just stay there because you can't even pick them up. And so many weapon upgrades have like, you know, get back ammo for like shooting something in the head. Lots of really bizarre upgrades in the game. But this all stemmed from me asking what my favorite weapon was. There's a lot to talk about with the weapons because there's so many of them and they're all really interesting. And you have like the freedom to use them how you really want to. You don't have to touch really half of them if you don't really want to. I would say my favorite became the Ravager. That was the secondary pulverizer. That was the shredder weapon that shreds the skulls. The pulverizer is not fantastic because it has such a wide spread. You need to be really, really close, and it does very little damage. The Ravager, on the other hand, puts that spread super, super tight, and it's kind of just like almost like an auto shotgun that you're using, and you can get upgrades that the longer you hold it down, the faster you go, and like the skull like starts glowing blue. Like that's really, really cool. And then I would say actually the two weapons that went the least used in my playthrough was the grenade launcher and the rocket launcher.
Whoa.
Really? Yeah, did you use
Rocket
them?
launcher was like probably my second most used weapon in the game.
I barely use any of them. I found myself, because you know what? I was always so close to the enemies, and because of this game is kind of almost like a bullet hell in certain aspects with the parry mechanic, I found myself just blowing myself up too often. So
Did you see what the final upgrade is?
I did.
It lets you heal yourself from exploding yourself for like 10 seconds.
Oh
It's
yeah,
insane.
after you parry, yeah, I did start using that. It was really convenient on certain like challenge hallways. There's one hallway that you go in for a secret, and then it spawns like 50 Hell Knights, and that it was really useful in that aspect. But yeah, the guns are really, really good, and you don't have to use all of them. And something that I thought was interesting was that this game really reminded me of Quake in a way, in that you had unconventional weapons. Quake has unconventional weapons, at least the first game. I haven't really touched the second game that much, but like the OG, I mean, I'm not gonna, I might be a little overzealous in saying this, but I don't really think a lot of people care about all the other Quake sequels. But in the OG Quake, you had the shotgun, and I think you got the super shotgun at some point in the vanilla Quake. But every other weapon was like the nail gun. Like no hit scan. The only hit scan weapon in the game was the shotgun, but like the nail gun, there was like the nail gun. There was the super nail gun, the grenade launcher that like lobs shit in like an arc, and what is it, like the Tesla cannon type weapon. All these weapons are a little unconventional, and they reminded me a little bit of Quake in just like the design and the design philosophy. It's not like machine gun. Yeah, sure, the spike weapon was a machine gun, but like, a little different.
Yeah.
I also really, really enjoyed the Impaler. That's the heavy version of the spike weapon, and that one was a lot of fun to use.
Yeah, especially when you get like the slowdown thing. Makes it a lot easier to get headshots with it, yeah.
The slowdown thing was really good, but I actually found that the other upgrade path with the shots become empowered when you pick up ammo was much more useful, and it was just extremely powerful. Like your the spike like glows red, you fire, it sounds like a cannon, and it shoots out, it hits the enemy, and like there's a small like AoE explosion. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Very strong.
I found myself gravitating towards the chain shot for most of the game. That was like my main weapon. because I enjoy railguns in games, like the charge it up and let like a Spartan laser type weapons.
Yeah.
But it was fun on its own, and then they added the upgrade where if you parry a attack, you just get an instant charge. It changed the game for me.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was
it made
really
it so
good.
fun.
Yeah,
You could just get up to like a Baron of Hell or whatever. Who were the guys? I guess they're the Hell Knights. I couldn't really tell what some of the demons were in this one. The ones that will claw at you with parryable attacks like over and over again. The big gray guys, whoever they were,
Big gray guy.
it was just like tall gray dudes that would swipe at you with the green attacks.
They don't have a projectile.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, they're probably just the Hell Knights.
Yeah, but they would swing at you, parry, chain shot, swing at you, parry, chain shot, and then you get the second upgrade that does an AOE like lightning explosion from it. It was so fun to use.
Yeah, it's really fun to use, and I think that can like kind of segue into this like next aspect of the gameplay, like all the upgrades. When I first was looking at the upgrades, I was like, "What the fuck are these upgrades, man?" I won't lie, the first like 5 missions of the game, I was like, "This game kind of sucks," and I was like looking at the upgrades. It was like when you parry the enemy. Like the first upgrade for a weapon was like when you parry the enemy, you get shotgun ammo, and it's like I don't fucking care about that. That's like the lamest upgrade ever. Like that's like on kind of par with upgrade like fake RPG systems in games
Plus
where it's like
4% fire damage.
yeah, it's like man, fuck off. Like I'm not gonna use that shit. And then you kind of get like the later upgrades that are more akin to like like the weapon mods in the previous Doom games, and then even further upgrades like will synergize all together, and then the weapon will become kind of transform into like a real beast by the time you get like most of the upgrades. And it's not just like the weapon is just really good now. It's like, oh, the weapon is really good when you use parries. So if you like parrying, you're gonna like the chain shot because now you have the upgrades that, you know, make it charge fully as soon as you parry, and you have like a little explosion. Like, oh, okay. And the game is full of that. So the weapon upgrades aren't just like static, just blank. Like the weapon is just better. It is intertwined with how you combat enemies with the parrying and the shield saw, and well, that's actually it. But the parrying and the shield saw are like a really big deal.
Yeah, let's talk about parrying. I think
parrying.
We'll get back to weapons.
I mean, like, yeah, the parrying. What I mean, I actually didn't know this was a parry game. I had no idea.
That was like literally the whole thing.
I didn't know. I didn't know. No, let me tell you. I went in this game completely blind. I had no...
Good for you.
No concept of what was going to happen. I was just like, I love Doom. I'm going to enjoy this. So I don't need to see anything, because if I look at more footage, I'm going to start getting upset. So I didn't look at anything. So I didn't know this was a parry game. So when the game was started, it was like, oh yeah, you can parry things. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then when every enemy started parrying, I was like, oh my goodness, this is a parry game. Oh, I was like, I think I deflected more attacks in this game than I did in a single playthrough of Sekiro.
No.
It might be on par. I'm telling you, it really might be on par.
Yeah.
You are parrying everything in this game, and then you were also not parrying everything in this game. And I remember you texted me, and you were like, the parry window is like really large. And I was like, yeah, the parry window is really large. And then I like once you get sort of like to the mid to the late game, you kind of realize why they did that. There's just so much shit constantly. If they made the parry timing window like small, it would not be possible.
Even towards the very end of the game, I was not having any trouble parrying. I was having trouble getting to the place I can parry. I was just swarmed by red projectiles that you can't do anything about, that I can't get over to the one green one that's 10 feet away.
Yes.
So I think it would have been a wise decision, and I'm not a game designer, to add an option to extend the parry range and make the window even smaller. But maybe I'm fucked up for that.
Yeah, I don't know. If you're facing, I think the parry is kind of more like in a cone shape, kind of like an FOV type of like shape, because I saw that. I bet you were probably strafing around an enemy who was... Okay, here's another thing we have to talk about. So you can parry, like, the melee enemies, right? Like, the parry parryable attacks are dictated in a green hue when an enemy attacks. It'd be like they swing their fists and it's like green like streaks, or it'll be like a green axe or some shit, you know. But then the projectiles will have this. It was really weird when I first saw it. You'll get like Toho style bullet hell, where the enemy will like put out its arm and shoot its like arm cannon, and then 6 rows of bullets will shoot out in front of them, hover, one of them will be green, and then move their way towards you. It's like semi-slowly to give you like oh, there's the green one, and parry it. And that, I was like, whoa, this is weird.
It's a bit weird, but I like how video gamey it is. I didn't have any problems with it.
I think the only one I was like, all right. I was like, we have to. Someone probably should have said this was a bit stupid. Was on the Pinky Riders, the armored Pinky Riders, when the guy, the rider with the bow and arrow, pulls back his string and then he releases, and then like 8 shields just like summon in front of the Pinky, like you're like it's a character from Vampire Survivors, and just like float slowly towards you. I was like, all right, you didn't need to make it a shield, or you didn't need to make him like pull back, like make him look like he's shooting it from his bow and arrow. Maybe just make the Pinky roar or something, because that's ridiculous.
I liked it. I don't know.
I thought it was silly. I thought that was really silly, but but you know, it didn't like take me too out of it. But yeah, that's like the whole parrying system. And you're going to be parrying constantly. You can also be blocking attacks. When blocking, I feel like you're not going to do often. Or you're not going to think about very often, because you're going to be, you know, I would rather like shoot the enemy in the head rather than like block its attacks. But certain enemies... So Doom doesn't do hit scan. So now Doom has hit scanning enemies. Not a lot, but there is a handful of enemies that hit scan. Big example is like the Tyrant. Like Cyber Demon, not the Tyrant. Tyrant's a really big one. The new Cyber Demon has like a hit scan, like Gatling gun, and you are intended to hold the block button. And that is something that I think all like new players should definitely make use of. Like, make sure you block. I feel like blocking in video games, I feel like so many, like, you just want to be on the offense, but you should take the defensive route sometimes. Make sure you have that defense. That's what this Doom is kind of like about, like offense and defense. Like Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal was all about the offense, like kill as fast as you can, dodge, be agile, dodge. But this is like, be a tank, like sit and take the hit, you know?
And I think you can tailor the experience a bit to the way you prefer, because I definitely played this game like it was 2016 for most of the game. And then towards the end, I was like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Yeah, like what?
And I had to start blocking. And parrying throughout, I was trying to parry as much as I could. But there were definitely times where I'd just be like, I'm just going to run up to this enemy and shoot them 6 times instead of trying to parry them once and then get the counterattack.
Yeah,
so,
once you
have options.
When the game tells you, I think Doom, I think the Dark Ages really shines when it's like, okay, now if you really want to like get through this encounter, you're gonna play the way you're supposed to play, and that takes about till halfway through the game, and like it's still it's fun until then, but then it gets like really fun, and you get like the flow of the game. And you're like, oh, okay, I'll parry and I'll do this move, and then I'll use my shield saw. Shield saw is cool. Let's talk about the shield saw real quick. That is the other big part of the run and gun gameplay that they got going down here. It's not really that important besides like, so the shield saw lets you parry, it lets you block, but it also, you can throw it, and that'll kill just like regular fodder enemies, just like, you know, so you just don't have to deal with them. And if you use it on a larger enemy, it will hold them in place, like God of War 4 Kratos axe. And that is, I like that a lot. I think that's really, really good. It can just lock an enemy in place, and you can either just like wail on it, or you can focus on something else that you think you can take down between that time frame. I think that's really good. You can upgrade the shield saw. You can get the runes. There's only 4 runes in this game. They're all on the shield saw. Those are kind of like negligible. They're all kind of just like, you know, when you parry, When you perfect parry, you summon a turret. When you perfect parry, you shoot out a crack in the earth. And you're like, okay, they're just different fonts of damage. Those are like, whatever, just pick the one you like the most. But I like the shield saw a lot. And then there's like the melee, which I'm kind of impartial to. I'm just like, I just use the the flail the whole time, frankly. But all of those things have like 7 upgrades each.
Yeah.
And so.
The thing I respect about this game, and this is where I was hoping this conversation would go, is that I played the game differently in almost every way that you just mentioned.
Clearly.
In that I barely ever froze enemies in place with the saw. Ever. I only used it for like the snake guys, and occasionally I would use it on the Mancubus because they just had so much health. But for the most part, I was using the other ability that we didn't mention where you can shield bash and charge across the map like 50 feet at an enemy and explode them. My main strategy for any big enemy was to I got the upgrade so that if you chop a fodder enemy in half, it upgrades your next shield bash against a big enemy. Then I would shield bash them, hold in the trigger so that as soon as the shield is down, I would super shotgun them in the face. Then I would pull out the big mace, not the flail, like the big fucking you mace.
The dread mace.
The dread mace. And then I would just immediately hit them with that, which would send me backwards out of their melee range, switch to the chain shot, and then charge that up and let it fly. That was like my main approach for most combat encounters. And I had so much fun doing that. I believe you that you had just as much fun doing what you were doing. There's just a lot of freedom even within these more grounded systems that I really respect.
Yes, and I do respect that quite a bit. You could not do that in Eternal, like at all. You can change up your runes and stuff, and that'll kind of change up like what you like prefer, like your bonus upgrades. But you kind of have to play the game the way it tells you to. And even Doom 2016 does not give you this much freedom, you know? Just because there's just so much. Even though I would say the gameplay is less tight than maybe 2016, there's so much more to explore. You can really you can really do what you want. Meanwhile, in 2016, you were really limited to like, oh yeah, I just like this like weapon mod more than the other weapon mod, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I mean, also, you know, shout outs to the super shotgun in this game. Strongest super shotgun in id history, I think.
I gotta be honest, I don't like that all the weapons are one-handed.
Oh, I did like that. I thought it was unique.
It is unique, specifically for the super shotgun and for the plasma guns. I felt like it didn't have as much of an impact because I wasn't like, you know, sticking it out there with both arms, like, and then recoiling back. That's my one little take. But in terms of like actual use of it and sound and effects and everything, yeah, I'm right there with you.
Did you play on keyboard?
I did.
Okay, this is where this might have been an issue for you. The rumble on controller is nuts. It is crazy. I think I drained a battery in a single encounter where I just held that. I started using the amplifier or you know, the first plasma rifle.
Yeah.
The cycler's fine. You know, like actually the cycler is much better than the amplifier. When you first get it, you're like, fuck the amplifier. But then you upgrade the amplifier to upgrade its fire rate and go into overcharge, and then that thing just destroys everything. And I think I drained like half of my batteries on my controller in a single encounter where I just held down the fire button. And like you ever finish mowing the lawn and you're like, oh Jesus, my hands are still, that's what my hands felt like after that. And I was like, whoa. So that is one of the things, like, I know you really love keyboard, but the controller, sometimes with these new games, I'm like, I don't want to play that new game on PC low key, because like PS5 version got HD Rumble. Yeah, I got that. I don't know what do they call it? On
just haptics, I guess.
Haptic, yes, haptic feedback. I'm like, whoa, that haptic feedback though got me in. I'm in the game. I didn't play this on PS5. I played it on Xbox, but like it's still, it was crazy. So I felt like, oh my god.
I wouldn't have benefited from that because as soon as I got the cycler, I never used the accelerator once. after
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Not once.
Yeah, you know, like Cycler is just really good. For some reason, the light plasma rifle just sucks on the energy shields, which is what you would use the gun on.
Yeah,
But the
and
Cycler
why,
just destroys energy shields with like 2 shots.
why did they get rid of the balls? The plasma balls. That was like iconic.
I'm okay with that. I thought I didn't like the plasma balls that much.
Oh, come on. It's fun. No other game has you shooting orbs.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, I like the plasma rifle in 2016 and Eternal, but I do like more like the laser-ish kind of thing. You know, like the plasma rifles in Fallout where you just shoot like green globs of goo.
Yeah.
It's like that's what I feel like I'm doing. I'm like, it just feels a bit silly. So I'm actually okay with the more of the small like beams, and I kind of like the Cycler's like it has like 2 ends to it, so it'll shoot you know, like it'll cycle, you know, and it shoots like kind of arrow-ish looking projectiles, like do 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 do, and that is really I like the Spiker. The I don't remember what the first nail weapon is called, but it is, you know, very clearly like, oh, that reminds me of the Quake nail gun, right? But actually, the Cycler is like the spiritual successor to the Super nail gun. It looks exactly the same. It fires very similar projectiles. I mean, it's the Super nail gun, you know, and I love the Super nail gun. You got to play Quake, man.
I want to.
'Cause
Especially
that's-
if
yeah.
they make a new one.
We're gonna talk about that later. That's not gonna happen. But
I know.
but this is another thing. I was watching a video. Someone was talking about Doom, and they were like, and I was like, oh shit, they're kind of right. You know, the new Doom games are like not Doom. You know, like they're Doom, but like they play more like Quake actually, because it's a movement shooter kind of thing. And Doom, I don't really think is a movement shooter actually. Like you do not have to do any of the crazy movement that you do in 2016 in Doom 1, 2, 3, and even 64. You don't really have to do any of that shit. Like there's moments where you have to do kind of like that movement shooting, like bobbing and weaving, but it's not really that much of that. Quake, on the other hand, is a movement shooter. Quake has the Doom 2016 DNA. That's probably why I like Quake so much and actually prefer it over the original Doom trilogies. And 64, because I was like, oh, this is where like they got the DNA from it, and that's what the guy said, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, he's totally right. Like that, like Doom 2016 is a Quake game actually with a Doom skin, and
Now,
I think you had to play Quake to understand it, and you really fucking play Quake. Just get it on, on Switch. Just get it on
I
Switch.
have it on Switch. I have to play Doom 3 first because it's the only Doom I haven't played now.
Don't
well,
play Doom 3.
I didn't play Sigil, but you know,
Not play Doom 3.
I will. I want to, and I will.
I take it from someone who played Doom 3. Do not it's worthless. It is a worthless game in the series.
Okay. Pivoting.
Okay.
So, something you said got me thinking, and this is something I've been kind of percolating with while I've been playing the game. There's been a lot of comparisons drawn between the style of levels in the Dark Ages and classic Doom.
and
Where you
Dynasty
got
Warriors.
and Dynasty Warriors.
Right.
Where you got these wide hallways with a lot of enemies that shoot really slow projectiles, and now it's more of like creative puzzle solving to try and get around the projectiles, get to the enemies in the right way. I see it. I respect it. I even turned my projectile speed down all the way so it could feel even more like that. I get the smell of classic Doom from this, but it's not the same in terms of like the actual moment to moment. But it made me realize while I'm playing this game that this is no longer a shooter game. This is just a puzzle game. Even more so than Eternal, where you can, from the second you step foot into an arena, if you know where all the enemies are going to spawn, you can knock that thing out in like 10 seconds if you have the right path. And I kind of love that about this one.
I agree, except I wouldn't classify it as a puzzle game because I think when you say puzzle game, I think that implies that there is a solution. Just like this is when you play Portal, there is one way to solve the room. But
That is true. I'm thinking more like Tetris, Puyo Puyo, that kind of puzzle arcadey
like
game.
Optimal kind of, yeah. I can see it. I don't think that's the essence of it. I think that might have just been what you got out of it. But I do think that's there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But because Eternal is like, you're gonna do it the way we tell you to. Oh, there's a metal baron. You don't have any ammo. Don't worry. You can use your chainsaw when it refills on its single thing, and then get one of the ever respawning zombies. Don't worry, buddy. We got you. It's like, oh, okay, thanks. Can't I just use like the only thing I have out of ammo is the gun that will destroy this baron. Can I use any of my other weapons? It's like, fuck you. Actually, you know what? Also, fuck yourself even harder. The metal baron reforms all of its armor if you don't kill it fast enough, because you should fuck yourself. It's like, okay, dude. That Eternal is like a puzzle game. And they've described it as a puzzle game. Like that's pretty clear. I'm pretty sure that is like in the marketing, and people have, when they're like, meet the developers of Doom Eternal, I'm pretty sure they've said like, yeah, we're it's kind of like a puzzle game. They've said that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of glad that they did away with it, because like I said, very limiting in that aspect. Because sometimes I'm just like, fuck, man, do I have to do this right now?
So, I got something. I don't know where you want to take this. This will be a short one.
Sure.
The Doom guy weighs like 1,000 pounds in this game, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know how they're making him like. I don't really see how this guy is gonna become the guy in Doom 2016. The guy in 2016 was kind of like small. He kind of felt small. He was light. I was never like, oh, this guy's huge. But now they made him like just big and just heavy. At every step, he's going doom, doom, doom. And you can kill. A thing I like is that there's a lot of with superhero landings type. Like you jump into a battlefield and then land, and all the fodder enemies like fly away and die. Like I like that. Like that's kind of the essence of what the game is. Like you were a one-man army, jump into this big battlefield and just go for it. And that is the game. The levels are like, I don't think this game is really designed as well as something like Eternal or 2016, because it is mostly just big battlefields with like certain offshoots with enemies, right? And most of the enemies are just there, like already, like just waiting for you. Yeah, that can feel a bit lazy, but like I think just because of the nature of the game, it's just like, it's fine. It's fun. Like I didn't mind it. But like thinking about it like philosophically, it's like, oh, okay, they didn't really have to like struggle too hard to design this, I don't think.
Maybe. I don't know. I think there's a decent amount of thought put into the different waves of enemies and what would be fun to have lying around, and where we're going to put lines of flaming shield men that you can explode.
Yeah. But I think they had to do it a little less than
maybe. There is like 3 times as many enemies in this game as any of the other ones, so
that is
I think we can cut them some slack.
And
it
that's
is really
another
Dynasty
thing.
Warriors.
It is very Dynasty Warriors-esque, and I keep on thinking about that every time now that I'm like seeing the game. But you're like constantly taking damage. A big part in 2016 and Eternal was that like you're supposed to be like you're moving constantly, dodging and left and right. But like there's so many enemies in this game that it's really kind of about like taking the hits and just like, I am going to take my lumps for like 5 seconds and focus fire this Pinky Rider right now and destroy him in like a duel to the death, like right the fuck now. And I'm just gonna get all my health back because I'm gonna win this duel, and I'm gonna keep moving. It's like oh, don't worry about like the 20 enemies that are still on your ass. Like you are gonna destroy this thing that you are focused on right now, and you're gonna win. And like that's cool. I like that. I like how you're kind of constantly taking like damage and shit. Like that's it's different. It's different.
Yeah. As a part of that, though, they had this interesting choice that whenever you kill all the big enemies in an area, all the small enemies just disappear. That way you can't farm them for ammo and health and stuff.
Right, yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that, because it didn't really take away from it too much. I don't know how much fun I had just running through hallways killing shotgun guys in 2016. But I don't know, it feels odd that I could just ignore them if I was good enough at the game. That feels a bit weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I stopped wasting my ammo on them at a certain point. I would just use my shield saw because it was
Yeah,
free.
because it gives
And
you
I-
ammo.
Yeah, and I had the range upgrade, so I just went and just like does it.
That was just something I noticed that was a bit different. I don't know how I feel about it.
right,
Where do you want
let's
to take
talk
this
about-
next?
I'll tell you where I want to take it. Let's talk about the Atlan and the Dragon.
Okay. All right. What did you feel about them? Because I think I have an idea of where your thoughts might be already.
I think that they could have been much better. I think that they're just kind of just distractions that kind of take, they just give you a breather. And I think they're good in that aspect, but I think objectively that they're just underutilized, and I think on repeat playthroughs they're going to be like, "Oh, man, I got to do this section right now. It's so boring," And actually, I didn't think, because when I did the first, this is what I mean when I first started playing the game, I hated it for the first like 4 chapters, because the first 2 chapters are really tutorial heavy. You don't have a lot of options on what you could do, and I was just like, oh my god, I was like getting a headache, and then now we're gonna do the Atlan, and the Atlan is just like, you just throw punches until a meter fills up, and then you hit the right bumper, and then the enemy dies. And I was like, oh jeez. And then we got to the Dragon, and the Dragon was like this sucks, because the Dragon is so bizarre in its design, where you fly through these areas, and then you see an enemy, and you hold left trigger to lock onto the enemy, and then you're put into, like, you were literally locked on. Your Dragon flies into a locked position, and then you can dodge them like you're in a Punch-Out game, like left, right, up, and down. And then you just have to dodge the green projectile. They give you very, like, video gamey type projectiles. They just, like, wait for you to dodge them. And then you do a perfect dodge, and you can upgrade your turret gets upgraded, and you shoot, like, powerful shots to kill the enemy. And in that mission, I was like, oh no. This is so, like, bizarre. I hated it. I fucking hated it. Because the first Dragon mission was very linear. It's only after the next 2 missions after that, the Siege Part 1, that I was like, okay, now they're actually giving me the game. But the first, like, Atlan and Seret, this is the name of the dragon, Seret, I fucking hated it. I was like, this sucks. But actually the later Dragon missions I liked quite a bit, because they were kind of like these pseudo open-ended levels where you can go where you want, and there's little offshoots, which I thought were really cool. And like you know, on this big dragon, you're flying around these big areas. Like, that's really cool. You can see a lot of shit. I actually think the Atlan is probably the worst part of the game, because it is just a spectacle with basically zero substance, and there's really no reason to play them for more than you have to. And that's kind of why the Atlan missions are like less than 10 minutes, probably total.
Yeah, and there's only 3 of them. It's not that bad.
There's 3 of them, but I kept on being like, oh, okay, the Dragon missions got good, the Atlan missions are gonna get better, and then they just didn't. You're just fighting tyrants with just the kind of like the same moveset. There's like one different one who shoots like a laser out of his head. But I was like, oh, you know what would be so cool? I was like, this would be so cool if your punches did like no damage, and you had to fill up a meter. I know this is exactly what the game does, but I wish that the meter, I wish there was more meter techniques to unleash, and I wish they were more like wrestling moves. So I wish there was more enemies, and I wish it was a more slower and deliberate kind of sequences where it's like, oh, grab that tyrant, throw it into the other tyrant, to just like, and they stumble over each other. They land on like a group of enemies, like fodder enemies down on the floor, and then while they're like getting themselves up and trying to like figure out what's going on, you go over to like the third tyrant and you really like wail on him and like fucking do an uppercut, like pile drive. I wish they kind of went like full wrestler with it and made it really interesting. Like, they take little damage for your punches, and you have to use these wrestling moves and like slam them into shit to like deal damage. Maybe like pick up their weapons or something like that. As it is, it's just like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna dodge, and then I'm gonna build up my meter, and then I'm gonna punch it, and then it's gonna die. It's like, okay, okay.
It's not that much different than that.
I think they could have made it more engaging, and you know.
Yeah, I mean, okay, they definitely could make the mech more engaging. I'll give you that, but it doesn't really bother me in any way. here's what I'll say. The first time you get into the mech, it's really cool. This is Titanfall. They even do the hexagon things. And then you go around and you punch people, and it's like 5 minutes, and you're like, cool, I'm ready to get back to killing things.
Yeah.
Second time, you're like, okay, here we go. More of this. And I'm like, okay. But that one is literally like a minute long. It's so short. Then the third one, maybe it's because I was playing on the higher difficulty. I don't know. It was actually kind of hard. There was like a lot of enemies and a lot of projectiles.
Yeah. It was hard.
Felt a bit better.
The third level was the best level for it. But even then, I was like, I think we could have used a bit more of a... That's another thing. That mission, it was called the Final Battle, and there's like a whole cutscene. This is gonna probably go into the story at some point, but like there's a whole cutscene where King Novik is like, prepare the Royal Atlan, and then he gets in his Atlan and he looks at the Doomslayer, and they're like, sir, the Doomslayer's Atlan isn't gonna be ready in time, and then like he like looks at the Slayer, and then, oh, you know what's gonna happen. He's gonna give him the Royal Atlan. So he gives him the Royal Atlan, and he's like, he says something along the lines of like, I'll hold them off. You go, Slayer. And then like you go off and then just do all the work, and you can just turn around and King Novik is just standing in his Atlan. He doesn't move. He just sits like standing behind you. Like the whole time. I was like, and not only does he not help, there's no one helps you. There is not a single person who assists you, that entire thing. And I was like, how are people like not... How is the Atlan... Why didn't we just start with the Atlan? You know, like the whole time. I feel like we could have started this war with the Atlan and just ended it with the Atlan. Like clearly the Atlan, like there wasn't even like a MacGuffin. Like we have like the heart of Anus killer, and it will paralyze Hell's army in time for you to reach Prince Azrak. It's just no. He just gets into an Atlan and just destroys everything. And like that's it. You know. But okay, that's not the point.
Hang on.
What?
It may be boring, but how much does it tickle your lizard brain to crush the churches and run through the bridges with all the destructible physics?
It did touch my lizard brain. What touched it even more was shooting any of the stone statues in any of the missions. Those physics, dude. Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. Go play that game. Next time you play through the game, find the secret, go and find secrets or whatever. Next time you see a stone statue, just shoot it with a shotgun and watch that shit crumble. Those are the best physics I've ever seen.
This in Tech 8 is something special, man. They should make the next Halo on this. I know they're not, but like they should make everything on this engine.
It was amazing. The game looks amazing. The game plays amazing. It performs great on the series. I don't know if you had issues. I heard a lot of people were having issues.
No issues.
No issues. Good.
No.
And another thing, loaded instantly on the series.
Instantly. I thought that was just me. It was like I would pick up my phone and I'd look up and it was done already.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, this game is taking a while to load. And it's like, it says press A to start. And I'm like, oh no, it said that for the whole time. Meanwhile, I'm playing. I was also playing Black Myth Wukong. I'm getting through that. That's a pretty good game. It takes like 2 minutes to load. I'm like, damn, fuck. This is on my SSD, dude. What are we doing?
Yeah, and like playing Oblivion recently too. That's like a loading screen simulator. This, I die, I hit the spacebar, I'm not dead. It was awesome.
You're playing Hotline Miami. You're like, holy shit, dude. Yeah, but okay. But the last thing I'll say about the Atlan before we move on is that I think that they could have just done a little bit more with the Atlan. Maybe like, I don't know, maybe there was like a really big, like really, really big enemy that we fight and we like, you know, we go around it and we like pull out its like tentacles or some shit. Just like, even if it was just like a couple of quick time events, you like pull its tentacles off, like you punch its like eye on its tentacles and then you like grab its tentacle and you pull it off. Just a big fucking thing. Like there wasn't anything bigger than the Tyrant. And I was like, nah, man, there should have been
the big old one or whatever he's called.
He wasn't that much bigger than a Tyrant. He was pretty much the same size as an Atlan. Yeah. But I think they could have went like really big. Maybe they could have had like some, I know that they had like the gun and that was fine, but it was still more of the same of like you know, dodging out of the way. Like maybe the Atlan could have like thrown like big stones at the enemy for like, oh no, they're gonna get our fortresses. You have to throw these boulders at the, I don't know. I think there could have just been like one thing You
Yeah.
know?
No, I mean, they definitely could have made it a lot better. I just don't think they had to, and I'm fine with what we got. Maybe if they cut out that middle level, I would have been, like, perfectly fine with it. And I agree with you. If they were going to make it, I mean, it doesn't have to be Titanfall, because I know that would take forever. But just, like, 2 of the abilities from Titanfall, you could just copy them and just put them in here. Make it so you can, like, smoke out the enemies and then sneak up on them and punch them in the face or something. I agree. Just a little bit extra would go a long way, but I don't really miss it that much.
Yeah.
Now, the dragon...
The dragon.
The dragon levels, I really didn't like that really big one where you're flying around and getting all the ships taken down. I like that you can get off the dragon.
Yes, I like that. I think that was cool. I like that the mission wasn't a completely on the dragon. But are you talking about the first big dragon mission where like the demon from the cosmic realm is coming from the sky?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I like that one. You didn't like that one?
I never wanted to be on the dragon for more than like 30 seconds because it controlled fairly well flying around, better than I thought it would. So it was fun to, just look at the like tiny city and then you land and it's actually huge.
Yeah.
That was fun. And I like to fly around a little bit and find some of the secrets, but really I just wanted to be on the ground shooting things.
Yeah. I thought it was fine. Honestly, I was just like, okay, well, this is just gonna take me from arena to arena. Whatever. I just thought it was a cool spectacle. Like, I like that kind of spectacle where I have, like, more agency. The Atlan, I just felt like 0 agency in what I was doing,
Yeah. And flying the dragon kind of reminded me of those levels in Halo Reach when you're flying the pelicans between the buildings.
Jesus.
Like,
right.
Where you're really not doing that much. You're just looking at these tiny buildings. And I liked it for what it was. I enjoyed that part of it. But then chasing the ships or doing the punch out, like you were saying.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, New Alexandria, that's the mission you're referring to in Halo Reach. On repeat playthroughs, it's like, oh, God.
And I feel like I feel that way about some of these. I did 100% that level, so I don't really have to ever go back to it.
That's the best feeling when you're like, oh. I mean, that's not really a feeling you should want to have in a game where you finish a level and you're like, thank God 100% of that one. Or when you get 99%, you're like, fuck, dude, I have to play the level again. Like, I should be like, oh, I get to play that level again, Like,
and I did feel
obviously
that way.
that's yeah.
For leveling up my first, I don't know how many hours did I have in this game. Is there a way for me to tell? I don't know, but probably for
you can go on your Xbox app and then go to the achievements and then press that, and then there's a little tab called stats. I put in about 18 hours. That got me through my 100%.
Yeah, I'm at 17.7 hours, and I did not 100%, but
it's a long game.
Probably for like the first 8 hours, I was going. If I got like 98%, I would go back and replay the level, do everything as I was coming to it. I would do it, and then I realized, oh fuck, we're gonna do a podcast about this. I gotta finish this game now.
I gotta get on it.
So I just would basically rush through levels, but I would pause and find the the gems, the upgrade gems, and then I would keep going.
Well, you beat it an hour ago, so you did it.
Yeah. So now I'm excited because I have like half the levels I'm gonna get to go back to and actually like look at them.
Right. Instead of I mean, that's just what game journalists feel every day. They're like, "Fuck, I can't enjoy this game. I have to finish it."
I enjoyed it, but I also didn't.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough being a gamer with a job.
So, the dragon, the mechs, they're all part of this world that they're building here.
And we're talking about the story now, huh?
Yeah, I think we are.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, I will say I think this is at least a step in the right direction for Doom, in that Doom Eternal didn't make any fucking sense unless you read some of the codex entries. 2016,
dude, even Eternal, even if you read the codex, it just makes 0 sense. Dude,
I mean,
I'm trying to figure out how to. You play through the DLCs, it's like, if you want to kill the Dark Lord, you need the life sphere of him, and then the death sphere of the creature. It's like, what the fuck? Like, that is OG. Like, okay, you can knock them all you want, but that is OG like id style writing where they just be making shit up. They're just like, the keeper of the keys is in the, like, this is like 1996, like, creating like Doom 64, like, the keeper of the keys has the death sphere to destroy all mortals. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. You know, it
really
had
doesn't.
it zero sense. Makes zero
But they
sense.
presented that game like they wanted it to matter. I think 2016 had a lot more of a sense of humor in its story, especially with He Who Shall Not Be Named. But this one, this is like what happens in the codec entries in Eternal. I think it actually is. But what I mean is, like,
it's supposed to be.
I mean, like, it's kind of like how they made a big deal with fucking what am I trying to say? Elden Ring, where we're like, we're here in the world, it's happening now. Whereas Dark Souls, it's like, yeah, the world's empty and everything happened like 8,000 years ago.
You're late, buddy.
This feels like it's happening now. I don't care what's happening now, but at least I'm like following. I know what these characters look like. I don't know half their names, but I can at least identify them. I don't know. It's not good, but it's a step in the right direction.
I mean, yeah, it's a cinematic. When they were like, "Oh, it's gonna be this new Doom is gonna be story focused," it's like, okay, well that ended up not being true. It ended up being cinematic, and then there was a Call of Duty story in there, kind of, you know.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a Call of Duty story where every character, here's the thing. The problem. There's multiple. Like, it's fine. Like, the actual cutscenes are cool. You know, like, I liked a lot of the cutscenes. The style was really good. Style of the game, and that's kind of the general gist of the game, I would say. The style is really good. But in terms of the story, there's like, the substance is just like, ugh. Yeah, it's like, all right, well, that was fine. It's like eating like that pizza looked really good, but it was a pizza. It was just a pizza, but it looked really good when it was coming out of the oven. And a big problem is that like the characters are not characters. They're nouns. They are not like, you know, King Novik is the king. He has no personality traits. He has no like emotions. He's just the king. Like that. He is his occupation.
But what about Creed Maker?
Yes. Okay.
I love that guy.
I'm glad you said that. That is I literally wrote in my notes. It says characters are nouns. Characters are nouns, not characters, except for Maker Creed. I really liked Maker Creed because he had a lot of emotion in his like fucked up Maker head. You know, like 6 eyes and stuff. And he had just a great design, or he's just like this big dude and all these small dudes.
Idiot that doesn't know who he's aligned. I love that guy.
He did, yeah. That's what I was gonna say. It's so clear. He doesn't ever say it, but it's so clear that he doesn't really know what's going on. He's just like, and that's like one of the first cutscenes they have, where like the Doom, like the Slayer's like acting weird, and then like the Makers, the smaller like Makers, kind of like look at him, and he's just like, like, what do you want me to do? He's just like. He is baffled by everything that occurs in this game. He has no idea what's going on. We have no idea why he's doing anything that's happening. He's just like, oh, well, you know, we're just going to use the Slayer, I guess, and hopefully that'll work out. And then it doesn't. But I do like Maker Creed quite a bit.
Yeah, he was my favorite part. But yeah. I liked the first time they did the thing where it's like, we got the Slayer under containment, launch him in, and he's like this big weapon. And then like, an hour later, he's just doing what he wants. He's just free.
Yeah, he just gets out, and that you know that is an instance. One of the big problems I had with many of the concepts that they had. There's a lot of cool concepts, a lot of really really good ideas in this story, and none of them are committed to. The story does not commit to anything. Not only long term, but also short term, right? So short term, like, okay, him kind of like being in containment, right? Like he's being controlled. You're like, whoa, that's weird. Like, I wonder what that's about. And then he's just like, you know, he hears like the suffering of like people dying, and he like breaks free or whatever, right? And then they're like, put him back. And then, you know, they put him back. And then that's just broken like 2 missions later, like for real though. I was like, oh, you couldn't have like let that cook just like a little longer, like made it like maybe like go get to like a real breaking point. Maybe he breaks out of the, you know, the Creed ship, and there's like a short level where he busts out of the Creed ship and like shoots up some Makers, perhaps. You know, like I don't know. Maybe he could have. I wish that was a little like lived in a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like developed just a little bit more.
literally anything that happens in this game could have used a little bit more of that.
Oh yeah, let's skip to the next thing, where he goes to prison. You know, he goes, I don't remember exactly. This happens near the end, where he like catches up to Prince Azarok, and then he gets stunned, you get disabled, and Prince Azarok steals Thera, which is King Novik's daughter. That's all her personality is. She is King Novik's daughter. She's thing
also
with
a Borderlands siren.
Yeah, she's also a Borderlands siren for some reason, and that's kind of a cool thing, but she's not a character, she's a thing, so it doesn't matter. And then Prince Azarok is like, we need something, Creed is like, what should we do with him? And Prince Azarok is like, we need something more permanent. Or no, he's like, we should kill him. We should kill him while we have the chance. And Prince Azarok is like, no, we need to do something more permanent than that. And they put him in. And then the immediate next cutscene is the Slayer waking up in this prison in this sea of acid, right? Nothing else. It's in this force field prison in this sea of acid, and there's 3 giant tyrants holding out their hands, shooting a beam, containing this force field. And so they put him in this force field, and first of all they put him in all of his armor and his shield saw and all of his weapons, just because fuck it, who gives a shit. And then what? No helmet. Is that true? Yeah, right. No helmet.
That's when
you
take his helmet off, and it's very uncomfortable.
Yes, it is very uncomfortable. You see his very pretty face.
Yeah, they yassified him. He looks nothing like he did in Eternal. I didn't even like it when he was naked in Eternal.
He was ugly in Eternal, man. And he was also, you can actually see, you should look up the Doom 2016 key art right now. You can actually see his face in the 2016 key art, and it kind of just looks like an overlay of, it looks like a AI upscaled image stretched out.
No way that his face has been in that picture this whole time.
It has been.
No.
it has been.
No.
And guess what? It's in his model
horrible.
too. You can see his nose in his model too. I'm looking at his model right now, his CG model key art. You can see his nose. His face has always do you have a physical copy of Doom?
Yeah, I do. I'm holding
Take
it
off
now.
your shelf and look at it right now. It's always been there.
I can't fucking believe this. This is ridiculous.
And it is like an AI upscaled version of the mugshot that it's in the bottom of the HUD in the OG Doom. It's so funny, and his head is so big. His face should not be that big. It just doesn't make any sense. But okay, that's besides the point. They yassified the Doom guy. He's very pretty in this game. Point is, he wakes up in this sea of acid, and he just escapes in 30 seconds of waking up. He's just like, I know what to do. And he touches his crystal on his armor, which is what the fuck is that about? No one knows. And he just escapes.
We got the Doom guy touching his crystal and shit.
Yeah, Doom guy touching his crystal. And he just escapes. And that's it. He just escapes. Like the first thing he does, he's like, I know what I'm going to do. And he just succeeds immediately. I'm like, they couldn't have what I think they should have done is they should have let that cook a little bit. They should have been like, oh, okay, he's in prison for a while. He's he's trying all these things. He's sawing the force field. He's punching it, he's shooting it, does something. And then maybe they show a time lapse. I don't even care. Oh, it doesn't make sense that he would die from not being able to eat. I don't fucking know. Maybe it's a dimension where time moves differently. Whatever. Make it so that he's in the prison, he's trying to get out, he can't get out, or something like that. And then maybe the war in the Sentinel dimension is going poorly, and now it's in the favor of the demons, and things are more desperate than ever, something. And then he feels the pain of the fucking Sentinels or some shit, and he's like, I know what I must do. I'll touch my crystal. Something like it could have been just a minute long cutscene, 2-minute long cutscene, where something like that could have happened, right? But he just wakes up. I hate that shit in media where we captured the protagonist and they just immediately escape and they make his capture a big deal, and he just immediately escapes
by killing himself.
Oh yes
But it is bad writing. But if there were 2 more minutes of that, do you really think you would have enjoyed it more? I think I would have been bored out of my gourd.
Dude, it's either like, I mean, they could have
I
showed
mean,
us something, or they could have had like, you know, King Novik been like, the war is going poorly. My daughter Thera is still out there. You know, like
I just think if they're gonna be doing stuff like that, all of the cutscenes would need to be a little bit more substantial. I think this fits with just, all right, let's just get them to the next level. Just
Okay.
keep it going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean they're kind of stuck between that, you know, like they're mainly like kind of like keep it going, but they kind of they're trying to do something and they're not committing to it. And before we talk about the thing that we have to talk about, that I know you saw it and you went, holy shit. Let's talk about this first. This is extremely controversial. Extremely controversial. I think they should have made Doomguy talk in this game. Not a lot. No.
Yes.
More. No,
Okay.
more. I think they should have made him talk more. Not a lot. But I think they should have made him talk once in a while. And they should have made what he said very substantial, very powerful. Because I'm kind of sick. It's a little different when it's in first person and Samuel Hayden is talking to you and you're like I don't, and you punch, you know, you're like punch the computer screen that he's talking to you through FaceTime, right? But when you're watching a cinematic third person cutscene and everyone just stares at the Slayer and the Slayer just stares at them back and he like makes no emotion and he just walks off, I'm like, goodness, just like, come on, you're blue balling me. He says run.
Yeah. What a weird line for them to be like, this is the one.
I feel like that might have been like, I feel like that might have been a later decision. Because if he didn't say run, then that cutscene, that would have looked like the Slayer was like, I'm just gonna blow the fuck up King Novik. And I don't really, like, I'm gonna kill this demon and I don't care about King Novik. When that's like not conducive to his character. His like whole character is about how he's like, I need to save humans. Like demons must die because humans must live kind of thing. Like that's like the first thing he does in the first game of the reboot trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they put that in because otherwise it would have looked like he was just like, fuck him, you know?
I didn't even know it was him talking until I looked at the subtitles. I mean,
Me too. I was like, who said that?
Well,
I was
okay,
like, who the fuck said that?
I think I would have preferred if they went in the opposite direction and just this whole game is in first person. Yeah, I know it would make some of the cutscenes a little bit weirder whenever it's like the king talking to his daughter or whatever, but put us like in a camera or something. But I think the whole game should have been in first person.
Yeah, the problem is the Doomslayer doesn't give a shit about anything. So
Right,
it's
but he
like,
has so much personality in the first one in 2016 from first
well, yeah,
person.
there's a lot of humor in it, and you know, and I think here's the thing, and even in Eternal, he has a lot of humor, you know, and I think this is like big brain move. They're never gonna do this. They're never gonna do this. But Doomguy doesn't talk, and you know, we could chalk it up to being like, okay, you know, he's been alive a long time. He kind of like, you know, saw hell for real and has seen wars that humans have never seen before. Yeah, it's probably a good reason for him not to talk. I think maybe that could be an incremental process. He talks in 2016 in the flashback when the priests find him. They're like, we found him outside of Urdak. And he's like, you know, he says like rip and tear and like you have huge guts and stuff like that. It's like, oh, okay. I think we should possibly go from like this kind of like maniac that was a normal person to like the silent, like, I have seen so much. I'm bearing this burden of silence because I no longer need to speak, but I have kind of regained some of my humanity. I think we could have ran a little bit in the middle where he's kind of like, you know, because everyone's really scared of him. You ever notice that the NPCs are like, don't piss him off, like, don't look at him. Like, I feel like maybe we could have like towed that line a little bit where he's still like he's trying to be a person, or he like doesn't really know what he's doing. He's like, I am like a machine for killing or something like that. But like, I don't know. I feel like we could have gotten to talk just like a little bit, like make it like a process to like where he's gonna stop talking completely, you know? Because now it's just like weird that he didn't talk at all during 2016 and Eternal until the very end when he said no. Because there's like, we have the beginning of the timeline near like at the end of the classic Dooms where he's like an insane person just like garbling his words and just mumbling nonsense. And then we have the end where he finally like breaks his vow of silence and he says no. I was like, what happens in between that? He just stopped talking? Like, when did he stop talking? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
weird.
I think it's alleviated by not showing his face. And they show his face a lot.
They do, and you're just like, open your mouth. Open your mouth.
But put those hideous teeth away, please.
Right.
Okay,
that's true.
I think it's time to address the elephant in the room.
Dude. It was so cool.
It was so cool.
It was so cool. I was alone in my apartment, and I was like, "What is going on here?" Like, okay, they sent him to like real hell now, like he's like dead. All right, so he fall. So the way the Slayer escapes the acid prison is that he just like blows it up with his like crystal, which isn't ever explained, which is whatever, and he falls into the pit of acid, and you hear a heartbeat, and you hear the heartbeat slowly die out, and you're like, oh, he just died? And that's kind of hinted at, that like, oh, death isn't really gonna stop him. Like, there's like, oh, okay, like dying is the only way out, and he's gonna like figure it out. Like, okay, so like you're kind of like, okay, like where is this gonna go? And then you kind of have this weird intro that mirrors Doom 2016. Where you get the Slayer symbol and King Novik saying the exact same introduction of 2016, where he's like, they are brutal, they are rage without mercy, but you are worse. Rip and tear until it's done. He says the exact same quote from the beginning of 2016, while the Slayer symbol is like filling in, and then he wakes up in this like hell, like prison type, like underworld thing, and he's being held against the wall by like bony arms, and a zombie comes over to him, and he breaks free from his restraints. It's exactly like what happens in 2016. Like, breaks free from his restraints, he grabs the zombie by its head, he like crushes its skull, and then you see the super shotgun on the floor, goes and he bends down, then it cuts to third person, like we're looking at his feet, we're looking at his suit's all fucked up, there's there's all types of like battle damage and stuff, and it pans up to his head, and he's a zombie. And I went, oh my god! And I was so happy. I was floored. I was like, this is what I've been waiting for. Like, okay, this is weird. This is insane. This is what I've been waiting for. Like, okay, we got Zombie Slayer. Like, holy shit, guys. This is crazy. I don't know how you felt about it. I thought it was awesome.
I literally, I leaned back in my seat and went, oh. And then when you get into gameplay, they change the little face in the bottom middle.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
They change it. They change that. I like that little addition. Like, it's so dumb. Like, they didn't need to include it. They just have like the little like, looking like classic, like, like looking side to side, and they change it to a little zombie head. I'm like, that's so funny. That is so fucking funny. And that's kind of where it ends.
Yeah, I don't hate that they changed him back, because we know it's a prequel. He's going to change back at some point, but we could have just let him be a zombie till the end of the game. It was like it's the best part of that Doctor Strange movie where he turns into a fucked up zombie for the end of the movie.
Yeah, you're like, wonder what's gonna happen next. Like, just like stick with it. And I think they should have. I really think they should have full sent that concept. Like, clearly, death means nothing to the Slayer. Like, all right, that's cool. Like whatever, that's fine. I think, because I do think this story has like no staying power. It commits to nothing. It doesn't really set up anything. And, like, we kind of end where we started. The only difference is that the Slayer is no longer controlled. All the villains who are introduced are dead at the end of the game. And now you're just like, well, I don't really know where they're going to go with this. Like, Doom 2016 ends with Hayden betraying you. So you're like, oh my god, I can't wait for the next one. And, like, Eternal is kind of like an outlier in that way. It kind of like just like wraps up. It was like a duology in a way. Eternal's like the finale,
Yeah, but we still don't know why the Dark Lord looked like the Doom guy, and I feel like they need to explain that. So there's a little bit more to tell, I think.
I think they're gonna get to that maybe with the whole. I mean, you know, like this is gonna be like the new thing. I think, which is we're gonna talk about this for the future of Doom, but I think they could have probably set that up better. And I actually think they should have kept him undead for the rest of the game, and like into the next game. I think they should have kept him undead, because then we're gonna finish this game and be like, oh well, I gotta see what's gonna happen, and like not even like the next game, and I'd be like, I gotta see what happens in the DLC. Like he's a zombie. Like how long is like I know he's gonna become mortal again or something. So like what's gonna happen?
And I know we don't need it because we have so many abilities and so many guns, but he is dead. This would have been a perfect opportunity to start introducing, like, he's gonna be a demon and he's gonna shoot lasers out of his fingers.
Right. That'd be cool if he was like harnessing some demon power, like something. Like just like go with it. I wrote that in my GG app review. I was like, maybe we could have gotten just another little upgrade tree that's just like undead powers. It's like it doesn't even have to be anything crazy. Just like
throw your arm at them.
You gain more health when executing enemies. You gain well, I don't know, man. I really don't know. I think they could have done something with it. But as me and you both know, at the end of that level, he is resurrected as if nothing happened.
Yep.
And let's talk about this now. I think the resurrection actually makes zero sense. Like, okay, there's a lot, like the Doom series doesn't really make any sense, but you could be like, oh well, we just don't know. You know, it's just like that we just don't know why the Dark Lord looks like thing. It's a mystery. It could be a lot of different theories. The resurrection makes zero sense. Let's think about this. Two things are happening when the Doom guy is in limbo or whatever. One, he's escaping. He's getting out of limbo, right? He's like, I'm going to steal the boat and I'm going to crash through the gate into the mortal realm. What's happening on the other side is that King Novik and the dude who is the betrayer in Eternal, I don't know his name in this game, but he is called like the betrayer in Doom Eternal. You know what I'm talking about. The guy with the mohawk.
The guy with the big scar.
Yeah, the guy with the big scar and the mohawk. And he's like, this is my son. He's going to become the icon of sin. He didn't say that, but that's what happens. Did you know that his son becomes the icon of sin?
No, I don't remember a lot of the things in Eternal. I knew Novik I recognized that name, but that was about it.
Yeah, he says 2 lines in Eternal. But yeah, his son, at the end of the game, King Novik is like, this must be your son. I've heard great things from you. And then like it lingers on his son for a while. You're just like, who the fuck is this kid? It's like you would only know the importance of the betrayer and his son if like you read the codec logs from Doom Eternal. But like he's the betrayer because at some point during like the Sentinel Wars or whatever, he makes like some deal with the demons to like protect his son from like dying in a war or something like that. And then as like punishment, like they trick him or something and they turn his son into the icon of sin. Which is actually kind of cool. Anyway, that has nothing to do with what I just said. Point is, the betrayer resurrects the Doom guy in like a random ass forest and he just has like 5 cultists just like hanging out and they just resurrect Doom guy like it's nothing. Like, they can just do that? They can just do that in this world?
In a game where we bring back demons from the dead and we have extra lives and life sigils and stuff, they couldn't have just set up, you know, anything about, like, oh, there's this ritual that the demons do to bring their dead back. And I don't know, just not set up at all, just literally out of nowhere. Nope, alive.
Yeah.
Skin.
Yeah, he's just back. And first of all, here's one problem I have with it. What would have happened if they didn't do that ritual? What would have happened if the Slayer like busted through that big gate with the boat? And what happens next?
Maybe that was all in his head.
Were they mute? Maybe it was all in his head. Maybe like they seem to be mutually exclusive because the Doomslayer finishes that level and then he's resurrected. But like, what if he just didn't do that? What if he just like, you know, he didn't break out in the beginning of that level and he just like died again? As a zombie, would he come back? Like,
Man, they should have kept him a zombie. I'm so mad.
They should have kept him a zombie. Just to be like, holy shit, we have Zombie Slayer. What's gonna happen? Like, and that's another thing. I know like they do that. They do a similar thing in Wolf. Have you played Wolfenstein 2?
Yeah.
You know when they execute BJ like halfway through the game,
Yeah.
and he just actually dies, and they resurrect him. It's like, in essence, it's similar to that, but I think Wolfenstein 2 does it way better because it's very pivotal to the story. That like for the first half of the story, like BJ is like dying. He has like every organ in his body is failing because he blew up at the end of New Order. And for like half of the game, your HP like maxes out at 50, and you can't do shit for like most of the game because you're in like a dying body. And he spends like a lot of this quiet moments of the game like doing internal monologues, be like, "Damn, I'm about to die. This really sucks." And then he gets executed, and they have this whole like sequence where where it's like it's choreographed, and it's also implied that like, oh, they're figuring out like what to do. Like they kind of do this thing where like, we know he's gonna die from the very beginning of the game, and then they're like, oh, something's gonna happen where they're gonna save him, and then he kind of like just actually dies. But they do this crazy body swap where they put him on the head of this super soldier, and then you actually get to play the game as like Super Soldier BJ, like normal. Like that, like him dying is very pivotal to the whole game. That's probably the most important part of the game, is that BJ dies, and then for the rest of the game, the villains are like, yo, we got Terror Billy, dude. Like BJ Blazkowicz is fucking dead. Like we now reign supreme. Like, we're gonna win this. Like, the resistance is nothing. And he shows up at the end of the game and he kills Frau Engel. And they're like, how are you alive? And he's just like, hey, I'm back, baby.
See, Wolfenstein has a good story, though.
Yes.
Okay. I don't really get it. id and Machine Games are both so close. They're both under Bethesda. There was a lot of stuff towards the end of Wolfenstein 2 that they're, the Doom stuff maybe is a little connected, maybe a little not connected. How are they not, like, just working together, talking to each other? Like, they just let Machine Games make the cutscenes for the Doom games and let id make the gameplay for the Wolfenstein games, Maybe a little bit of both.
One would hope, but they release Young Blood, and now all the shareholders are like, oh shit, we're never making a fucking Wolfenstein game again. Put all the money on Doom.
Yeah, and Indiana Jones. But even the Indiana Jones cutscenes are good. Like, I really don't get how they haven't gotten a little bit of help with these Doom cutscenes, because you're right, they look beautiful, they're very cinematic, they're very well animated, but there's just nothing going on. There's no substance.
In the Dark Ages?
In all three of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because the character, I mean, in the first two games, especially the first one, is very intentional. Very, very intentional that the story is second. Like, it doesn't matter. The only thing Doomslayer cares about is, like, I'm going to kill these demons. He ignores everything Samuel Hayden says, and, like, that was the point. Like, you can seek the story if you want to. You're just going to get a little background and ideas of what's going on. But, like the point is, like, he does not give a shit. He's going to kill every demon he sees. Like, that is the point. Eternal, they went away from that. Now it's, like, really far away and in the Dark Ages, and I think the problem is that it's just like, he's, I hate to say it, Doomslayer's not an interesting character. Good character, he's a good character, has a great design, a lot of history, all these things. He's not interesting. He's not an interesting, like, you're like, I don't want to see his, like, what are his inner thoughts? Like, fuck, I really hope I get to kill another demon. Like, BJ Blazkowicz in every level in Wolfenstein 2 has, like, an existential monologue about, like, he's like, Daddy used to hit me for crying. Now I don't cry anymore. But sometimes when I think about growing up in a world without my babies, my two unborn twins, and my beautiful wife, I wish I could cry. Like, he just says shit like that randomly while you're, like, in the middle of a level. You're like, whoa, dude. Like, you are an interesting guy. Like, I want to know more about you. There's nothing to know about the Doomslayer. There's nothing to know.
I think they could have just made all these games with no story and it would have been perfectly fine. And I like if they were to pepper in, like, some of this deep lore stuff in the codex or whatever. But the fact that they're committing to it means that it should be better than it is. You don't have to commit to it. You don't have to do all this. But you did. And
they half commit.
Yeah.
I hate half committing more than not committing at all. because it's like you were so close. You were so close, and it feels like someone stopped you. It feels like someone said, no, 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 don't do that, because if people don't like it, then we're really fucked. Instead of taking like a real risk and being like, I have a great idea and I think we should do it. But someone said, no, play it safe. So don't go all the way, play it safe, and you're just like, this is, you know, this could have been much more. You're like, this isn't necessarily like terrible, but you know it could have been much, much more.
You know what else could have been much, much more?
What?
The music in this game is
Yeah, what was
weak shit.
What was up with that?
I don't know.
I don't remember a single track. Very.
No.
I think that, I heard that the mixing was kind of fucked.
It definitely was. I played with volume at 100%, headphones all the way up, and then sound effects at like 60%, and I still could barely hear the music.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with that. It's just really, really strange.
I don't know what the fuck happened. The music in The Ancient Gods was good to fine, but ever since they lost Mick Gordon, they just lost the entire soul of the music. I mean, I'm not saying that we should just copy what he did, but maybe we could have, you know, add a little bit more oomph to any of the tracks.
Oh, I agree. I mean, the music in the first two games are just incredible. Like, they are pivotal to the experience.
There's a momentum to them. There's a punctuality to them.
Yep.
And that's why Mick Gordon is such a famous producer for a lot of different games, but also a lot of really big metal bands, because he just has this ear towards the percussiveness of string instruments. And in the Dark Ages, there's none of that. There's no tempo. There's no like driving beat. It's just four frames of just guitars going like down, down, down. Like, it's, I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like it, and it didn't get me into the game. It just served as a backdrop. Yeah, really.
Yeah, I didn't hear it, so I was like, what? And I read that people were having like, I think something's wrong with the music, guys. And I was like, oh geez, I hope I'm not gonna have that problem. And I did. I was just like, oh, I just like didn't hear the music, like, at all.
Yeah. Even that first track, when they pan up the spotlight and then the title card hits, that's like one of the better tracks in the game, and it's still kind of weak. It doesn't really have any interesting rhythms or anything. It's just guitars.
Yeah, yeah. And they, you know, there's not even like a callback at any point to the. Not that I needed it, but I was kind of like low key. I was like, I hope they do the original Doom theme. You know, like, I think the opening to Doom 2016 is one of the best openings ever, where he's like going down the elevator, and Samuel Hayden comes on to the speaker, and he's like, yeah, I know a lot of humans died, but trust me, don't worry about it, it's all right. And then, like, he just, like, punches the screen, and, like, the, you know, like Bethesda presents, it starts Doom, and then it goes back to the gameplay, and he pumps the shotgun. I'm like, oh, like, that is like one of my favorite intros to gaming, like, period.
Yeah.
Just like, let's go into it.
That strong, dirty bass rendition of the original Doom theme is so good. I would have been fine if they just put that song in this game. Is there really a reason we couldn't have used the old tracks? I mean, not exclusively, obviously. You have to have some new stuff. And maybe even just remix some of the old tracks. Like, I'm wondering if there's some copyright stuff there, because that wouldn't have been that weird to just reuse some of the similar themes.
Yeah, I agree. Or just like even just newer renditions would have been like nice. It's just like I you know, you could have done it in a different way. You can do the same songs in different renditions that fit the more heavier, like, you know, quote unquote. This is like the PR term that we use, the boots on the ground style. It's like, oh, okay, like, oh, this sounds like this song. I know this song, but it sounds like heavier. It sounds like dirtier, you know. It's like, but they just didn't do it.
And this kind of touches on something you were talking about earlier, is that as much as I love the dirty metal or whatever, I would have been perfectly fine if they pivoted to something a bit more like Celtic, or something to fit that Dark Ages medieval feeling that they, like you said, they only really half commit to the Dark Ages thing.
Yes. So, yeah. It's like, okay, we have like, you know, it's Dark Ages, it's medieval. Then like there's like, you know, laser ships and like, you know, laser guns, and they all have like computers and iPads and stuff, and like, I'm gonna run the diagnostics on the Atlan. I'm like, what? I thought we were gonna be using catapults.
Yeah, and I think
You
it's
know?
cool. I think it's cool that they blend the tech and the medieval stuff. I think it would have been cooler if they just went exclusively medieval and magic.
I know they
But-
couldn't have went full magic, like full medieval, but I think they should have got very low tech, extremely low tech.
Like the super shotgun in this, it looks like it's a flintlock, but it should have been like smoke flies out. There's pellets everywhere, and then all
Right.
the guns are like wood and steel.
I would have
don't-
loved that. I would have loved that. I
And,
think
like,
I think they got most of the visual style like correct, but except for when they're mixing like the science fiction, and I don't really vibe with the whole sci-fi mixture of the medieval aspect that they have, the Sentinel dimension. I think it's like, I just think it's a bit silly. It's very like OC-ish, you know what I mean? Like there's no, that's another thing I want to talk about with the story real quick. There's no sense of like, I think probably an improvement to all this was that maybe that we could have had like a weird culture with the you know, the I don't know what they're called. I don't know what the race called. Urdak? Is it Urdak?
Are they not just
remember.
the Sentinels? Is that like their?
I
clan
think
or
the
something?
Sentinels are the people, or like the soldiers. I'll just call them the Sentinels, I guess. But I kind of wish the Sentinels had like a culture, like maybe they're like a warrior race. You know, King Novik is like a big dude in armor, and with like, you know, he has no shirt. Like maybe he could have been like, I am the warrior king, and I will go out to battle to face them myself. But he's just like, you know, like he could have just been like the general from the American military, and it would have been the same.
Yeah.
You know, it's like maybe we should have, like, I wish they would have went more into the culture of the people, but as it is, it was just like, oh, these are just humans, I guess. All right.
Yeah. It was fine.
Oh yeah, it was whatever. Okay, let's talk about, okay, we're talking about things that are like, you know, they were mad, they were this is that. Let's talk about something genuinely the worst line I've ever heard in video game history. Very end of the game, Prince Azrak says, I can never rule as king so long as the only one they fear is you. What the fuck is that line, dude?
Why is that so bad? It's not good, but I don't.
That is a callback. The track, the main theme of Doom Eternal is the only one they fear is you. And that is like, when I heard that, I guess, you know what? I'm glad that you didn't have that reaction then, because I knew that beforehand. And when he says that, I was like, wow. I wrote it down immediately because I knew I couldn't forget like what that line was. I was like, first of all, insane thing to say. It grammatically does not make sense. What he should have said is, I can never rule as king as long as they fear you. But they had to, like, this is basically the akin to, you know, like the fake Last of Us 2 leak. Abby, don't. She's the Last of Us too. I was like, no way. It sounds so unnatural, I think. Like you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't say, I can never rule as king as long as the only one they fear is you. What? Does that not sound wrong to you?
I mean,
like,
yeah, it sounds wrong, but I just chalked it up to bad writing. I didn't realize it was like a callback situation.
It was. It was a very big callback, and I was like, Jesus Christ. That's like, okay, they kind of do that. They kind of do that at the end of, Eternal, the base game, where they're like, his struggle is eternal. You know? It's like, oh, okay, that's fine. He didn't say, his struggle is Doom Eternal. It's like, his doom is eternal. You're like, shut the fuck up. You know? Like, that's, like, I was appalled. I was so appalled at that. I could not believe that they said that.
See, I didn't like it because like you said, it just sounds weird. But I at least like that they carried that through, because you remember in like the very first time you see that the big boss, he says something like that, is like they fear him, and now they don't fear me or something like that, and he has like this jealousy. I like that they at least carried that forward.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Another thing, this is just a nitpick. It's just not a true statement. The demons don't fear him at all. There's never an instance where a demon is like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. They always are attacking you. Even if there's one demon left, they're like, I'm gonna kill that guy with my dying breath. I actually think they don't fear him at all.
That is something that I kind of
Yeah.
thought about before. In all of like the lore and all of the promotional material and stuff, they're always doing that where they're like,
Yeah, they're like they're
He's-
so scared of him.
yeah, but then they aren't.
Yeah, and then it's just like a single imp is like, I can take him. It's like
Even at the
clearly
very-
not.
Right before he says that line, there's like a scene where he just walks past a bunch of demons and they're like beating their chest and stuff at him. They're not like cowering or anything.
Yeah, no demon has been scared of the Slayer. At the end of the game, when he throws Azrak's head down, which was cool, throws his head down, and then the demons are like, oh, I should get out of here. I don't think it's because they're like, oh shit, the Slayer is here. They're like, oh man, the prince is dead. I should probably leave.
That scene was so funny to me because
Right.
he throws the head down and then it's like I don't know what the direction they gave the actors were that were mocapping the demons, but they're all just like, oh,
Yeah, they're like, oh no. And
They're
it
not
kind of
like-
makes you want to think about like demon society. Do they have feelings? Or are they animals? Or they should just be like, oh, that's not good.
yeah, but they don't like freak out or anything. They're just like, oh, party's over.
Yeah,
Buzzkill.
yeah. Yeah, it's like, do they care? Like, are they like it just because it like in 2016, and I guess Eternal, like they don't. I feel like they don't have a leader. Like this is also another thing. Like the demons have like a leader in this game, and that's kind of weird. It's like imagine an enemy in a game or a movie being like, I control the army of zombies, and it's like, can you do that? Like, do they listen to you? Like, I can't imagine getting together. Like, who built these giant castles?
It's a good point.
Like, what is the tyrant? Like, what is the big giant demon tyrant with the giant club getting out of this war? You know, like there's a scene in one of the hell levels where you like walk, where you're just walking, and there's like a big tyrant like crucified, and he's like, oh, and I'm like, oh damn, what did this guy? What did he do? I thought he was on your side, guys. Like, what did he do? Like this, obviously, this is we're just being funny. Like, this isn't actually like a riff on the game. You know, I just thought it was funny how they're always like, they're so scared of him. They're never scared of him. They've never been scared of him.
Yeah, they never are. Can I?
Except
say
for
real
at the
quick-
end of Doom Eternal, at the end of the credits. Sorry, this is just the last thing I'll say about it.
Yeah.
At the end of the Doom Eternal credits, where the zombie is playing with the two action figures, and the Doom guy's like right behind him, and he cocks his shotgun, and the zombie goes like, huh? That's the only time I've
forgot
ever
about
think. Yeah, like that's funny. That's the only time I've ever seen a demon in Doom be like, ah, shit. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
You were talking about the big tyrant that was crucified. I really like the set dressing and a lot of the levels in this game. Like I think
Oh,
it
yeah.
might be Hell on Earth is hard to beat, but we didn't get that much of it in Eternal. Like we got a decent amount. I would have liked to see more, but this I liked a lot of what we got, and I think my favorite two levels, like scenery wise, not necessarily to play, is when you're in that like the witches world, the
cosmic
purgatory.
realm.
Yeah, the cosmic
Yes.
realm with all the fucked up squids and like,
Yes.
floating pools of water, like it's a Celeste level or something. I really dug that world. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was a cool concept that I actually like. I do think they committed to in the correct way. I feel like they did commit to it like more or less as much as they should have. That's one of the things that they did that was new. I actually feel like I was like, all right, I got a good sense of this.
And then I like the slender forest in the purgatory that you were in for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I kind of thought that was going to be like a story moment where we get some of the Slayers past. You know,
Yeah.
where it's like, yeah, like, I don't know. How dare I, right?
Yeah.
How dare I think they're going to do something?
And then, I mean, they're just so good at making hell levels.
Oh,
They're
yeah, they know what
always
they're doing.
awesome.
Yeah, and it's like the metal depiction of hell too. It's like the, big demons like pounded on drums type of like lava everywhere type of hell. If you want like real hell, you got to go like Agony. Agony has
Yeah.
like real hell where it's just like, oh, this is just unpleasant. This is torture.
Yeah. But I think that Doom has probably the best looking backgrounds in any game franchise ever. Because I think a lot of them are rendered. They're not like skyboxes for the most part. And
Oh,
there's
yeah.
so much detail. And you can just kind of sit there and look around you for a while and just take it in. Meanwhile, more than 90% of the time, you're just sprinting past these hallways and not paying
Yeah,
any
like, I
attention
need to
to
get out of here. Man, I like in the Cosmic Realm, if you, like, look into the distance, you see those giant, like, like jellyfish, like, crab thingies, like, which are based off of the real crabs.
Thing.
Those what is it? Those, like, floating things with the really, really long legs. Those are based on a real deep sea creature. I don't remember exactly what it is. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, isn't that a creepypasta? I
No,
didn't think
it's
that was
real.
Is that real?
It's like a long leg squid, deep sea squid, long. It literally, yeah. Look up big fin squid. That's exactly what it is.
Big fin squid.
Big fin squid. That is exactly what those things were floating in the cosmic realm. Like, they basically just lifted it straight from real life, and I thought that was, like, cool because I'm like, oh, there's the big fin squid.
That place was creepy, and I don't get that, like, thalassophobia stuff. That, for some reason, that level kind of fucked with me when you're swimming between the boats.
Oh yeah, I was like, something's. I was waiting for, like, a big creature or something. I kind of wish they put something in there, you know. But yeah, I like that. I thought that was cool. I thought the cosmic realm was cool. I like the little puzzles that they had in the cosmic realm. Where you're like swimming on the ceiling, swimming on the walls. You're like, ooh,
Yeah, that was cool. Like the infinite level stuff, that was cool.
Yeah, that freaked me out. I was like, damn, this is a long hallway. Wait a minute.
That was like a Manifold Garden, where, like, if you go through the water, you come up on the ceiling. I like that.
Yeah. That section was really cool. I like that. The Cosmic Realm was all really cool stuff. I wonder if we're ever gonna go back to it. I hope it's not just like. I guess we should talk about the future of Doom now, because I do hope that they go back to the Cosmic Realm. I think they will, because it seems like Thera, her, like, creature, had something to do with the Cosmic Realm. But I hope they're not just like, all right, keep it moving, new realm. I hope they kind of come back to it and development, like, just like, even a little bit more, like, see what they can do with it, you know.
Yeah, I really don't give a shit about the Makers and the Sentinels and all the Angels, and all I want is hell and UAC base. But
yeah,
if you're gonna give me all these offshoot dimensions, make them cool like the Cosmic Dimension. And if that's the vibe we're going for, you might as well give me a lot of them, because I want you to commit to giving me a bunch of different shit then.
Yeah, just make it like half the game at some point, you know? Like, the Makers are... I feel like the Makers was the Doom Eternal. Like, that was the game for the Makers. And I think that's kind of done. Like, I know now we're in the backstory, so we kind of get to see some of the Makers. But, like, the Makers was basically just one level where you raid Creed's ship, right? So, like, we don't have to see any more of the Makers. We probably don't even have to see any more of the UAC, because that was the first game, and we even got that in Doom Eternal. Like, just give us, like, all these, like give us the new realms, and maybe flesh out, like, Urdak, or the Sentinel Realm, or whatever it's called.
Yeah. But so moving forward, we're going to get the 2 DLCs for the Dark Ages, which I'm decently excited for. I didn't like the DLCs for Doom Eternal that much, but
I also didn't.
That's because they leaned into the parts of the game that I didn't like.
Yeah.
There aren't that many parts of the Dark Ages that I didn't like. Am I crazy for saying that?
No. No. I mean, all the things that were, like, there wasn't a lot of, like, there wasn't, like, oh, this is, like, really bad type of things. It's just like, oh, this wasn't really as good as it could have been, I would say. Like, Doom Eternal had some parts that were like, oh, this is really bad. Like, Doom Eternal had one aspect of it that was like, this is really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And that took it down for me, like, a whole, like, 2 points in score. I was like, this is just so bad.
Yeah, but this one, there's nothing that I think is bad. Like, the story notwithstanding, because I just don't give a shit about it. In terms of the game itself, I don't see where they could take the DLC gameplay-wise that I wouldn't like. And I guess that's famous last words. But I'm saying that to say that there's a lot of room to grow in ways that aren't just shove a million enemies on screen and let them deal with it. There's a lot of things they could do with creative level design and hopefully new weapons to make the game fresh and interesting, and I hope we see that rather than just more.
That's exactly what I was just thinking. Because the problem with the Doom Eternal DLCs as well is that you have all of the weapons. You get no new weapons. I think they give you a hammer. But the hammer is just another, like, you know, like BFG, like room clearer, you don't get any new weapons at all. And you don't really see any new enemies. You just get variants of existing enemies, like the Stone Imp, which, as I explained before, is total bullshit. But I agree. I think they should have new enemies and just a couple of new weapons. Maybe take a couple, like, just give them, like, overhaul his arsenal. Maybe, like, okay, we don't need the rocket launcher. We don't need the chain shot. We don't need the cycler. Just completely new weapons. Just a couple. And I think that would be great. And, maybe even take us to a new realm. Or send us back to the cosmic realm. Maybe he has to finish some business with the, I don't know. I think she dies, right? The witch?
Yeah, you cut her in half.
Yeah, right. Yeah, she's dead. I think, let's go back to the cosmic realm. Let's, like, finish up some business. Like, I don't know what they're going to do because they don't set up literally anything besides I'm going to kill some more demons. But they can do a lot in, like, terms of gameplay for sure. Because that's what they do in the Quake. In the port to Switch, they included every additional episode they ever made for Quake. And they have new weapons. They have, like, a lot of new weapons. Like, each one has, like, a couple of different new weapons. And that was, like, did so much for me to be like, oh, man, I love playing Quake. Just because they gave me, like, a super-powered version of the nail gun with, like, lava nails. Like, that was enough for me to be like, I'm in. I think they added, like, a couple of new enemies, too. Like, that's all you need. Really all you need.
And they got a lot of room, too. They can add a new melee weapon. They can add some new runes to the shield that actually are a bit substantial. Like, they can make a lot of minor tweaks and then put us in someplace new. And it would be, what is it, $30 for the 2 episodes together?
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, well, okay, I don't know if it actually is, because that's the price for, like, the premium upgrade. So maybe it'll be closer to, like, 20, 25.
Yeah, for right now, it's the only way to get the season pass or DLC, and I hope it's not the only way.
Yeah, it was $40 for Doom Eternal, which I thought was outrageous at the time.
That is outrageous. If I paid that much, I would be pissed the fuck off. Thank God I only paid like 10.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, dude.
So I don't know what's up with that, but I'm kind of more interested in where you would like to see the next Doom game go. Because I know at the top of the show you said it was looking bleak, and I don't really know why. So run me through.
Well, I think it looks bleak because I think this game is very well received, and that's not a bad thing. That's not to clown on anyone who just really just enjoys the game at all. But I'm noticing a trend that I think is happening due to the immense positive reinforcement that the studio is getting. Doom Eternal was a bit of a step down from 2016, and I think that The Dark Ages is a bit of a step down from Eternal. Not as much as Eternal is to 2016, but it's just a little bit where I'm like, I do think Eternal was a better product overall. I do think it stuck with me, and I do think it played better. And I don't think the studio is going to get that feedback because I think people, like, first of all, Doom just prints money at the current moment. And they've already explained how, like, I've read a couple of articles, like, already. I've done, like, interviews with, like, the director of, like, the Doom games and stuff like that. And, like, other executives in the company. And they're like, yeah, don't worry. We got more Doom. We got more games on the way. We're going to get this DLC out. We're going to make the new Doom. We got, this is just the start of the Doom Slayer's medieval arc. And I'm just like, guys, slow your roll. You're not getting better in every installment. I think you guys are actually losing your focus just a little bit. Like, you're not losing your focus that badly, but you're losing it. And you're not acting like you are. You know what I'm saying? And I think most consumers just care about, like, Doomslayer, like, man too angry to die. Oh, hold on. I'm kissing my rabbit. Good night, Pipit. Sorry.
Just like the Doom guy.
Just like the Doom guy. I love that rabbit. I was thinking about that the other day. I think most consumers are mostly concerned with like the memes. Like he's gonna kill all the demons, like load shotgun with malicious intent. Like shit like that, and that's fine. But they're not concerned with like the subjective quality of like their product, and I think that's gonna bite the consumer in the ass eventually, and I think it's gonna bite the studio in their ass eventually, because if we're just gonna keep getting more Doom, I think there's gonna be an oversaturation, and then there's gonna be a crash, and that happened 20 years ago when Doom 3 came out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, are we gonna repeat history, and then in like 10 more years we're gonna get the new Doom reboot? Like how they're fucking, the new Mortal Kombat game, they're like, well, Mortal Kombat 1 really wasn't really well received. We kind of flew too close to the sun. Fuck it. Shut it down. Let's make the new Mortal Kombat game, and we're gonna make it so good. And it's like, you guys have to relax. Maybe you should make something else. But as it is right now, they're just gonna make Doom, I think. I was just watching like a Maximilian Dude clip where he was talking about like Mortal Kombat and how like they need to stop making Mortal Kombat for a little bit so they can make something else, so they can kind of branch out, like get a new perspective, and come back to Mortal Kombat after, everything's said and done. Consumers have cooled down, and as producers and creators, you are refreshed and come back to it and make a kick-ass game like they did with like Mortal Kombat X and Mortal Kombat 11, which was, Mortal Kombat 11 was extremely well received. And if they're just going to keep making Doom games, I think we're going to see a crash more likely than the next great Doom game. IMO.
I see where your head's at. I'm not as concerned about it. And here's why. I agree they should make something else, but I think like you said, they already said they're making the next Doom, so it's like whatever. There aren't any single player first person shooters coming out at this level. They just don't exist anymore. The only other one was Wolfenstein, and that's done. Am I missing like it? You know what I mean?
It shouldn't be done, but it basically is.
Yeah,
I feel like they're never gonna make the ending.
No, they never are, and there just aren't premium single player FPS campaigns anymore. This is literally the only one. Yes, I know you have your Indiana Jones and you have Deathloop and the Arcane games, but those are a different beast. That's, immersive sim. I'm talking straight up first person shooter. So if they can just keep making Doom at around this level for the rest of time, I'm fine to just play a new one every once in a while. Like I said, the old Dooms, half of the content for those games is just repurposed and changed up, and it's all exactly the same. And that is, to your point, what can lead to that crash if you don't iterate. But whenever it's your only option, I don't see any reason for them to take risks other than that it would please, the freaks out there like us.
Right,
so,
right. Well, actually, let me edit my point a little bit. Doom 3, the problem was that they reiterated too much.
Well, yeah, but that's because people had gotten so bored of it.
Right.
But that was in a time when if you got bored of it, there were other options.
Right.
But I mean, as a consumer, as a person who loves these games, I agree. They should go off, and I'm not even fucking with you. They should make Quake. They should make a new Quake game, but they're not going to. Because if they won't. I know they won't. Because the last Quake was Quake Champions, the Overwatch game. Which I actually kind of liked. But
I heard it's pretty good.
Yeah, I actually kind of liked it. But they should make it, and they should give Wolfenstein to id if Machine Games isn't going to make it. They should make something brand new, a new IP altogether, and just get a completely different feel for something, then bring some of those ideas back in 7 years to a new Doom game. That's the ideal. But what I'm kind of driving here is that from business perspective, from capitalism and all that, it doesn't make sense for them to do that. But
what's gonna make money?
But it's not all doom and gloom, because they have a good head on their shoulders. These games aren't bad. They might be getting slightly less creative, but they're not bad. Once they start to get bad, I think they're going to get that feedback that you're talking about, and then they will branch out and go in those different directions.
Right. Well, my job, I think, as the random white guy with the podcast, is to accelerate that process as much as I can.
And I respect that. And I mean, I'm with you that they should do what you're saying, and I would love that. But I'm also not super, I'm not hesitant to play the next Doom because I think it's going to be bad. I assume it's going to be good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guarantee when the next Doom game comes out, in however long, I'm going to be like, I talk big game right now. Where I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm not too happy with that company. But then they're going to reveal the next one. He's going to have, like, I don't know. He's going to have, like a knife. And I'm going to be like, oh, shit, I got to get that. I got to get that thing right now.
You can have a gun that shoots chainsaws.
Oh, and I'm going to be like, oh, dude, the pre-order is only $120. I got to get that. I got to pick that up.
Oh, you know what? This will be the last thing I say, I guess, because I'm ready to get out of here. I just got my collector's edition of the Doom Anthology, and it's a really good product if you're interested. It's
like the classics?
It's Doom 1, 2, 64, 2016, and Eternal.
Oh.
And it comes with a steelbook.
They said fuck 3. They said fuck 3.
And it also comes with a mini light-up BFG. And
Where'd
I
you
love
get
that? Amazon for like $29.99.
That's dirt cheap.
Yeah, I love it. But
that's actually crazy.
So now the only Doom game I have left to play is 3 and Sigil, and then I'll be wrapped up.
I haven't even played Sigil. I don't even know where to play Sigil.
Do you have the new Doom release, like the Night Dive one on Switch or Xbox?
Yeah.
Or anything? It should just be on there. They added it as
really?
an update. Yeah.
Oh shit! I'll have to jump into that.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever. I really like Doom 64.
Yeah, Doom 64 I think is my favorite of the classics, and 16 is my favorite of the new ones, and I see a lot of similarities between 64 and this one, actually, in terms of like the setting and everything.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see them lean even more into that like creepy aspect if that's the direction they feel like they want to go in.
Dude, just play Quake, because you're going to play Quake and you're going to be like, God, this is what they need to do again.
Yeah.
It's exactly what everything you just said. You're like, I hope they do this, and that. It is Quake. It is Quake. And I'm this is not even a controversial, but it's fucked up because Quake is not nearly as successful as Doom. Quake is so much better than Doom. Did I already say that?
No, I don't think so.
Quake is so much better than every Doom game I played.
Phew. And big words.
That's not true. I mean, of the original Doom games I played. Sorry.
Okay.
But the first Quake game is better than first Doom, second Doom, Doom 3. That's not really a competition. And Doom 64. I think it's better than all 4 of those games, and it's not even a contest.
Go play Doom. Go play Quake. They're all dirt cheap on the Switch. They play really well. They hold up. The classic games, they hold up.
Got the gyro aim, dude.
Oh yeah, it's very good. And play the new ones. Final thoughts on Doom: The Dark Ages, Jonathan. 30 seconds on the clock. Go.
It's worthwhile. It is. It's worthwhile if you're a super fan of Doom. I would say, yeah, pick it up right now if you got the money to spare. To go for it. I think it's definitely a worthwhile experience. It's a lot of fun. But just know that there's going to be some parts you're going to be like, all right, let's take it easy. Just stick with it and enjoy the parts that are good and just try to get through the parts that you don't like. If there's parts that you don't like. If you're not a big Doom super fan, wait for a sale. These games go on sale for big discounts, and they usually go on sale quickly, so just wait for a sale and get it for like dirt cheap in probably a year.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't really think you have to run out and buy this if you aren't too sure if you're already into games like this. But what I will say is that if you're interested in playing a fast-paced first-person shooter single-player game, I would probably recommend Wolfenstein 2. Well, I guess Wolfenstein 1 first, and then Doom 2016 second as a first-timer. But if you just want to try the new hotness, let me tell you, this game looks hot. And it's worth it just to look at it, to see what they're doing with the technology. And it's pretty damn fun. Also, you can get Game Pass for $4, I think, for your first month. So if you have a PC or an Xbox or a fucking phone or a Steam Deck,
Right.
Play them all on there. Check it out that way. That's how I played it.
You know what? An alternative solution to everything that we just said, just do indie games. There's like 8 million boomer shooter indie games that play like Quake and what you think Doom played like, and even if the game's bad, you maximum spent like $15.
Yeah, I'll shout out Ultra Kill here. I think Ultra Kill is better than this game, and it is one of those indie boomer shooter type games. That one deserves more love. And
Ultra Kill is probably better than Eternal.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played Ultra Kill in a while. I'll have to get back to you on that one. But
That's
I
a
do
different.
think
That's a different. Episode.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about boomer shooters one day. What's
will.
our next episode?
Next episode is going to be Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Probably, considering this
For
was
real
supposed
this
to be
time.
that episode.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get changed up again, but I have about 30 hours in my Oblivion playthrough. I don't know how far in you are, Jonathan, but
About 20.
yeah, we're getting there. So we're obviously we're not going to finish the game. Are you fucking stupid? You don't finish
No,
those
you're
games.
insane. No.
But
No finishing.
it's big time for Bethesda right now. Big time for Xbox.
Yeah, a lot of money going into the pockets of Xbox right now.
Good games though. Oblivion, good game. Doom: The Dark Ages, good game. And we will keep talking about good games here for your amusement.
Wow.
Look at that. We did it. 11:30 on a Wednesday night. Tuesday
We
night.
needed to do this. We needed to talk about it. I could not wait another day. I was so desperate to talk about this, man.
Yeah, I haven't been talking about this game with anyone because, like I said, Sam loves Doom and she hasn't started it yet, so I don't want to spoil anything for her. And I haven't had time to watch videos or like go on Reddit or anything, so I don't really know where the consensus lies. So seriously, I say this all the time because it's one of those things you have to say, but I mean it. If you played this game, I want to know what you think. So just comment. Like, it doesn't have to be a comment. You can just DM us on Instagram. I'm not doing it for the engagement. I just want to talk to people about this game.
We're so lonely.
Please talk to us about Doom. Wait, hang on. It's like the Dirties.
Please talk to us about Doom. It's like the Dirties. That was not the sentence I was expecting out of your mouth.
All right, you can find us next time talking about the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. We'll put up another Instagram asking if you played that, and we'll be back soon. All right, Jonathan, anything for the people before we go?
Brush your teeth.
Yep, twice a day, and floss.
Twice.
My mom
At
would be
least.
happy if you don't. All right, everybody. Peace.
See ya.